Well, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Simply Soccer podcast. I'm actually outside recording this, so if you hear some nice nature sounds, and it pleases you, then you need to get outside more. But that's also the reason. That's because I'm doing this one outside. So actually, it's funny, I'm going to be doing the live stream in a minute, and I just wanted to get the first part of this podcast done just because I was feeling like doing something. I didn't want to just sit and wait. And the live stream is literally in 20 minutes. So I'm going to do the first 10 minutes of this podcast. I know I'm going to get like so into flow and so into the moment, and 10 minutes are going to go by. I'm going to be like, oh crap, I was so into this, and now I have to cut it off and then restart it. But I think it'll be fine. We'll see what happens, and if this turns out to be terrible because of that, because I've cut off my flow, then we will, or I will, rethink doing that in the future. So yeah, Simply Soccer podcast, guys. Last time we talked about night routines and the importance of them. I believe we also touched upon meditation, but not too much. But in this podcast, I want to talk a little bit more about meditation and visualization. Now, a lot of you have been asking me about this either separately in comments, in Instagram messages, or other things, or if you haven't directly asked me about this, you asked me about things that this could actually help. Things like confidence and being nervous. The two things I'm going to discuss with you today can help with both of those things, meditation and visualization. Okay? So, sorry about that. I just ate very quickly as well. I'm doing everything at top speed today. Awesome. Probably should slow it down a bit. No real special announcements. I know for you guys who haven't, make sure you take a look at the channel update video. I just kind of got some stuff off my chest. I wasn't happy with the way I was making videos. Most of the videos I was happy with, but I was doing certain videos in order to get views instead of just, from them being from my heart or intuition or anything like that. Ones I actually liked. And I was like, ooh, I was coming from a place of how can I get views on this video instead of how can I create a video that helps? How can I create a video I'm proud of? And all that stuff, where they should be coming from. So from now on, I'm only going to really be creating content where the main thing is this going to have an impact in a good way? Is this something that's helpful? Or, one of the main things also, is this something that I like to make and makes me feel good, okay? So you can watch that video if you want. The podcast will be staying because I actually really like making these, and I think they're very helpful. I think they're very beneficial because we get to go over topics that I wouldn't necessarily make a video about. Although, to be fair, I did just make a visualization video. But let's get into the topic at hand, and we'll start with visualization since we just did a video about it where I went over a new visualization technique for you guys, which I think is very, very powerful. So I'll be going over that today in a little more detail, kind of really explaining it so that you guys can understand what it is. And this is a practice that I really recommend you do on a daily basis, at least often, because I think it could be so impactful. Many famous, successful people, entrepreneurs, athletes, use visualization in one way or another. Not all of them, I'm not going to claim that, but a lot of them do. And the person I learned this technique from that the video goes over, which I will link in the description so you know what I'm talking about. I'll link any of the videos I mentioned in the description. The person who I learned that technique from is actually a very famous comedian, and now he does like a really cool thing called Evolving Out Loud, which is comedy mixed with transformation. It's really awesome. And I love the visualization technique. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you guys know how much I love visualization. So, for those of you who don't know what visualization is essentially kind of either through just images in your head, thoughts or movies, or you can even speak it, which we'll go into, and we'll go into each one in a little bit in here as well. Basically, where you're envisioning what you want to happen, right? You're envisioning an outcome. You're envisioning a story in your life. So, for example, one of the ways you can do this, and one way I always recommend players do, is that when they have a game coming up, I want them to visualize themselves playing as perfectly as they can, and I mean perfectly, as they can in that match. This is going to instill you with confidence, and I've had weird things happen for myself and others as well, where in those games that I've played in at least, I've done some things that have been exactly identical to my vision or visualization that I had. Now, it's not a magic pill, but it is proven that a vivid visualization can actually trick your mind into thinking it's reality. So, for example, if you pull off a crazy move in your visualization, beat 2 players and score, and you really, really vividly get into flow and your mind believes this, then to you and your mind, it's not bizarre or even abnormal for you to do it again. And that's what boosts your confidence, right? So that's kind of the main idea of that kind of visualization, is using it for your games. But visualization doesn't have to just stop there. You don't have to do it just for your games. You could do visualization techniques every day for your confidence, for other things you want to happen in your life, for games you have coming up, practices, the way you want to look, the way you want to feel. There's really no limitation here. And that's why it's such a powerful thing. Now, of course, visualization without action is useless. You need to actually be taking action. But one of the things that visualization encourages is it encourages you to take action. And that's what this new technique I went over the other day kind of goes over. It teaches you how to take action. Or at least it kind of shows you what it is you need to do. And then it's really up to you if you take the action or not. Okay? So just understand that visualization is incredibly powerful, incredibly important, and I recommend it for all players. Now, I have, again, a ton of visualization videos, which I will link in the description, and I will also link to a video by this guy I've been talking about, who I said I learned the technique I'm about to tell you, the new visualization technique. I will link the video where he goes over it down below. His name is Kyle Cease. Any of you who are into comedy and watch a lot of comedy might know who he is. He's had like a Comedy Central special and all this. So, he's a fairly well-known dude, but he's very down-to-earth, really great guy, from what I can tell. And I love this technique. So let me go over the technique that I'm actually talking about, because I have 3 minutes until I have to get inside and get ready for the live stream and then restart or pick up from where I left off on here. So the technique is essentially a little different than I recommend. Usually I recommend players kind of like lie down and like almost like meditative. Like mine is usually like a meditation but with visualization, where you would just lie down or sit down, get comfortable, close your eyes, and then bring about images into your head of you playing perfectly. So you would actually visualize in your head you playing in the game and playing perfectly. You would visualize yourself in situations you would find yourself in a game. You would visualize yourself playing perfectly at your position. If you know what field you're going to play at, you would, as vividly as you can, make it seem like you're there. You would visualize players around you. You'd make it as vivid as possible, because the more vivid it is, the more believable it is to your mind. Anyway, his technique's a little bit different, and I kind of like it. It's a little bit of a mixing it up, but it's really, really cool. It helps you get into flow, and you don't need to do it for any longer than 5 to 10 minutes. You can do it longer, but I find that's really all you need. He says this as well. He also says you can do this for like as long as you want, but you do this 10 minutes every day, you're going to start seeing some differences. So what is the technique? So essentially what you're going to do is, let's say you have something coming up like a game. You're going to pretend that the game has already happened and you're like telling someone what's happened. So, for example, essentially, like if I am explaining something that happened, let's say I have a game coming up next Saturday, because this podcast will be out on Saturday. So a week from now, I have a game. I'm going to pretend that it is the day after that game, and the day after that game is right now, right? And I'm going to explain everything that happened leading up to that game and how I did in the game. So, for example, I would be like, you remember how I absolutely dominated in my latest match, how I was just so good. I won the Man of the Match MVP award, and I was just so confident in my ability. I took so many crisp touches. When I made a mistake, I kept bouncing back, and I wasn't worried about it. I worked as hard as I could, and I did everything within my control to help my team win that game, and everyone was so happy that I was working hard, was so happy that I was doing everything to the best of my ability. I was so confident, and it was one of the best performances of my season. I remember scoring some goals. I remember setting up some teammates. I remember beating players one-on-one almost every time that I went up against them, so on and so forth. And you can see, and that was just a short version, because if I kept going, I could go on forever. But you can see how you can get into flow. And essentially, this is your fantasy. You make it whatever you want. You could go, oh, I remember I got man of the match of that game. I scored a hat trick. I remember each goal very vividly, and then you could explain each goal. Essentially, you're going to do this from flow, meaning you're not going to think about it. Don't think about what's right to say or what's wrong to say, because there isn't a right or wrong way to do this. This is something that you're just going to let loose. It's not like you're going to be sitting there like, okay, I had this game and what happened? What would be a good thing to happen? And I beat someone one-on-one. Yes, okay. And no, that's not how you do it. It's completely within flow, right? If you're not doing this within flow, it's not really going to be that effective. All right, guys, so if you didn't know, that was the pause I had to take in order to do the live stream. I want to thank any of you who showed up for the live stream. That was one of the best ones I've done. I really felt in flow there. I really was connecting with you guys. I liked that one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Anyway, we were talking about visualization, I believe, about the techniques that you can use. And essentially what I really want to get to you in this podcast is the importance of it, or the benefits of it. If it's something you're not currently doing, I really, really encourage you to give it a shot. Really, it doesn't have to take that much time. It could take as little as 10 minutes a day where you're just relaxing, visualizing. If you're doing the out loud one that I went over, you're doing it for 10 minutes while just doing it out loud. And the thing is, this is not a chore. The visualization is very pleasurable if you do it right, in the sense of it feels really good. Getting into flow, you've been in flow before. Everyone has, I think. Most people have. Being in flow when they've been in a zone, when their mind is like completely shut off and they're just using like their instincts. They're just like, ideas are coming from nowhere. You feel so creative. You're getting so much done. You have so much energy. You're in that flow. It'd be insane right now if I was speaking to you and I had all of this content written out in front of me. I'm literally pacing in my backyard. The reason I can get all of this out and tell you all about this is because I'm in flow. So visualization is actually a very fun and pleasurable exercise. And you only need to do it for 10 minutes a day, but I can actually tell you, you might want to do it more. Not that I'm saying you have to, but once you start and you realize how cool it is, how good it feels, and how much benefits it can give you, you'll probably want to do it longer than 10 minutes a day. That's the thing. I've done it for hours sometimes on days when I would just sit down, close my eyes, and visualize, and it's just so awesome that I do it for much longer than 10 minutes. I've done it for hours before. So really, that's the main thing when it comes to visualization. I want you to not really get too hung up about what technique you use, as long as you pick one. Whether you do it out loud and you talk about the game as if it's already happened and you're talking about what happened, whether you want to do that just through mental images and videos that you play in your mind. There's other techniques as well you could probably do. I just want to really kind of convey the importance of this technique, because again, like I go over so often, the mental side of the game is so important, and this is a way you can directly influence that mental side of the game that you need to work on. Sure, there are other ways to develop confidence. Sure, there are other ways to develop mental toughness, and you should be doing those as well, but this is a relatively simple one that you can do without any resources, without even that much effort. This can be very, very effortless. You don't have to make things harder than they need to be. Getting into flow is a great way to grow and also make things way more effortless. For those of you who have been in flow and can think of times that you've been in flow, how much more effortless were those moments? How much more energetic were you in those moments? The times when things seem, when they're harder, is when you're not in flow or you're doing something you don't want to do. I'm sure all of you have had many, many moments, if you're me, in school where things just seemed really tough, but they weren't necessarily tough. It's just that things were dragging along because you didn't want to be there, right? And then there have been other times when you get that one class you really like and it goes by so quickly and you're kind of disappointed when the class ends, but you don't tell any of your friends because they'll be like, "Oh, you like that class? You like philosophy? Ugh." No, I'm just kidding. But you get the point here. When you're in a flow state, when you are enjoying what you're doing, you get into that flow state, things are easier. Things move by quicker. Sometimes they move by slower, but in a good way, in the sense that like you'll get so much work done and you'll go, "Oh my God, I must have been working for 4 hours or so." And you'll look at the clock, it's only been 30 minutes and you'll be blown away that you've gotten so much done in such a short amount of time. And this is why flow is so important. And I'm so sorry to go off on a tangent because we were talking about visualization, but I wanted to mention that as well. Flow, getting into flow is so valuable. And if you do it through visualization, you get into flow while you're doing visualization, whether out loud or in your head. You're just going to love it. You're going to see great results. And I'm saying stick with it. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's available to everyone. But if you stick with it, you will see results. So that's my thing on visualization, which is perfect because that's taken us to about halfway through this podcast. I gave you a little thing on flow there. If you haven't, there's a book on flow, literally called Flow, which I recommend. It's by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. His last name is ridiculously hard. If you look up the book Flow, his name will come up. Try and pronounce it. I know some people can. Even after I hear the pronunciation of someone else saying it properly, I still can't say it. That's how hard it is for me to say. But he discovered flow, and it's a great book. It's a great psychological concept to understand because it's so beneficial. But yeah, definitely take a look at that. So that's visualization, the benefits of it. Again, once you're finished with this podcast, I will link some videos on the subject matter down below. Ones that I've done, and I'll also give the Kyle Cease one where he goes over the technique, and so you can use those to better understand what you're doing and the benefits of it, right? So next is meditation, and this is actually something that Kyle is very big on as well. Actually, it's probably his, if he was to be in front of you right now and he was going to recommend one practice to you, he'd probably recommend this, meditation, and I do as well. Now, I'm going to try and find a way to directly relate it to soccer, to football. But even if it doesn't directly relate to soccer, you should still consider doing it. Consider doing it because it's just so beneficial. I've seen amazing benefits in my life through doing it. If you're having trouble with your confidence, your self-esteem, with your ability to take leaps, with your ability to put yourself out there, or you're scared of what people think of you, or you're doing all these other things, and you have all these resistances, then this is something you're going to want to start doing. And I'll explain exactly what it is. I'll explain different ways of meditating, and I'll explain the way that I currently meditate, because this is the way that Kyle Cease suggested, and it's been, for me, the most beneficial so far. So, and to give you an idea of like what I was talking about, increased confidence, increased not really caring what people think, I'm doing this podcast outside, out loud in my garden. I have no idea who's out right now. I have no idea who can hear me. And in the past, this would have concerned me greatly, but I'm so in flow right now. I so am just aware that it doesn't matter, that I'm doing it anyway. You know, you ever like wanted to say something in a certain situation, or you wanted to be really jokey with one of your friends, but you're in a public space, so you kind of, oh, there's a dead mouse on my lawn. Oh, that sucks. Anyway, you ever been with one of your friends like in the mall or something, or just somewhere public, and you've kind of toned down your personality because you didn't want anyone to see you, or you didn't want anyone to judge you? This would help with that as well. It would help you to just start being yourself. Because you ever had moments where you're not being yourself and you're so frustrated because you know you can be funny, you know you can be this or that, but you're not being it because you're worried about what the thoughts of people around you or what their judgments are going to be? This is helping me with this. Because I used to be like that a lot. I still am sometimes, where I withhold a lot of myself. I resist a lot of myself because I'm worried about some kind of judgment or something. And I still have this, I haven't gotten rid of it completely, but this, since I started doing this meditation, it's helped. And the only difference really in my life is having been doing this meditation. Now, this meditation's led to other things that are probably having some impact on this as well. But I just want to give you an idea of the benefits of this outside of just soccer. Now, think of the benefits that it will have within soccer though. So here are the benefits it will have on your soccer game. By the way, sorry if my voice sounds a bit weak or hoarse. I am coming off doing a 45-minute live stream where I talked the whole time, so my voice is a bit shot. So there you go. Sorry about that. You'll hear croaks and you'll probably hear my voice crack a little bit, and it might sound a little weaker, just to give you a heads up. So meditation, or some of the things that it will directly involve with soccer, is confidence. First and foremost, is your confidence. I think one of the things that it's helping me realize is what truly matters and what doesn't. It's helping me realize that mistakes are okay. It's helping me realize that I'm just this moment right now. I'm not my mistakes. I'm not the future my mind is trying to create. I'm just this moment right now. And the significance of that is, like, if I make a mistake in a game, I get over it quicker. I find one of the biggest reasons players lose their focus in matches or confidence is they'll make a mistake and they'll get upset, angry, or something like that, and they won't release it. They'll keep it held within themselves. They will just not let it go, and it will ruin their match. And I've played against players like this, I've played with players like this, and I myself have been like this, where I wouldn't get over my own mistakes, and it's a confidence issue as well. You won't forgive yourself. You won't let it go. For me, it was like, I can't believe I made that mistake. I've done it right 100 times in practice. Why didn't I do it right there? Just gotta let it go. Meditation's helped me with that. It helps you focus. It really helps you focus. Especially the one I'm going to be going over with you today, because the one I'm going over with you today is not a typical one. It's the one, again, that I've learned from Kyle Cease. It's a little different, but it's really going to help you focus. That can be directly related to soccer. It's going to, in a weird way, also increase certain, to me, I think it increases certain things like energy levels and all that, but that might be a little bit off, but to me it does. So what is the technique that I'm talking about? So first, let's go over what meditation is in general. To me, meditation is just being in this moment. It's disassociate. There's many different ways to define it, and it's 100% a buzzword or a loaded word, because there's so many different meanings for it. While, some people define meditation as clearing your mind. Others define it as just being in the moment. Others define it as being in flow. When you're in flow, you're very much in the moment. Flow is a very meditative state. Other people think it's like when you're sitting down and you're calm and you're going om, but that is not necessarily the case. So here are a few different ways to meditate. I'll tell you how I used to meditate. I used to meditate where I would meditate for 10 to 20 minutes, and I would just lie down or sit down. I wouldn't do anything specific, whatever was comfortable. And I would just focus on my breathing for 10, 20 minutes. Other ones, I would listen to some like meditative audio, like a meditation track, and do a guided meditation where you would just follow along with the guided meditation. Both of these ways are fine, and perfectly fine, and they probably work. What are some other ones I did? Another one would be, again, I would sit for 20 minutes. I'd focus on my breathing, and I would mentally feel energy in different parts of my body. And that might sound weird, but you actually can. I would focus on different parts. So usually this is with a guided meditation where it'd be like, now I want you to feel the energy in your legs and all this. And it's weird. You can, when you concentrate on just one area of your body, you can almost feel the energy in that one area. So that's another way. But none of the ways that I just went over are the ones I'm going to suggest to you now. The one I'm suggesting to you now is a bit extreme. It takes more time than you probably want to do this, but I'm telling you right now that this technique has changed many people, has helped transform people, and the person that I learned it from, again, Kyle, said that doing this, he did this for 100 days in a row, and he said it changed his life. So 100 days is about 3 months and a half, maybe. That's not right at all. Wait, yeah, it is, isn't it? 90, 100, yeah. So it's 3 months and like 10 days. So it's a little over 3 months. He did it for 3 months. And he said his life changed completely. And that may seem like a long time, but for something that changes your life completely, is it really that long? 3 months? And the thing is, I've been doing this I've been meditating for a while, and I've seen the benefits from it, but I've been doing this meditation for almost 2 weeks now. And it is about head and shoulders benefiting me noticeably in different areas more than other meditations I would be doing for months. And here is what it is. And I'm going to link a video down below that goes over this technique where he explains it. And it's so simple. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's just going to take a little bit of time. All you're going to do is you're going to lie down. Not so that you fall asleep. Don't put yourself in a position that's going to make you fall asleep. Or you can sit up in a chair comfortably. Make sure you're comfortable. Okay? Sorry. Oh, my voice is so bad right now. So make sure you're comfortable. And you're just going to close your eyes for an hour and just sit. Or just lie down. You are not going to do anything. You're not going to focus on your breathing. You're not going to try and focus on a certain point in your body. You're not going to focus on a single thought. You're not even going to, and here's the big thing, you're not going to try and remove your thoughts. In fact, you're going to watch your thoughts. You're not going to get rid of them. You're going to let them play out. Because as soon as your eyes close, your mind immediately is going to put up some resistance. Because this is not something that we're used to doing. We're not used to just sitting down and doing nothing. Our mind is so used to being active. It's like, wait a second, why are we just sitting down? We could be on Facebook. But what does that really bring you? Nothing. We could be watching TV. What does that really bring you? Nothing. Like, it's going to find a million different ways you could be distracting yourself right now instead of just sitting there. And one thing that Kyle goes over that really resonated with me, he said it's amazing how much resistance we have to just sitting down and closing our eyes. And that's it, just getting comfortable and sitting there and doing nothing. It's amazing how much resistance we have to that, but when you do this, you will find that you will be in a lot of resistance. Now, the thing about it is, do not resist the resistance, if that makes sense. So if your mind is complaining, don't stop it. Let it complain. But stay in the room. Stay there. You let your mind bitch and moan and complain as much as it wants, but you do not get up. You do not open your eyes. You do not stop what you're doing. You just sit there and you watch it. And essentially, you're just going to do that for an hour. Anything that comes up, you're just going to let it flow down the creek. You're just going to let it go by. Because if you try and get rid of it, it's just going to stay there. If you try and grab hold of it and throw it away, it's just going to stay there. But if you just allow it, if you just be the space that it needs, and you don't attach yourself to it, but you just kind of look at it. You just watch it. You recognize that it's not a part of you, and you just let it move on. It will leave. And when I started doing this, I was blown away by this because I was doing it, and I used to meditate in a way that was like, block your thoughts. I meditated in a way of like, you got to focus on one thing, or you have to breathe and focus on your breath and block out all emotions and thoughts, right? And there's probably some benefits to that too, because I know plenty of people who do that, and it works probably. But all I know is this has worked a lot better for me, where I have not tried to get rid of them, I have embraced them. And I've done it from the perspective of me looking at the thought. So I'm not the thought. I'm not saying that I am the thought. I'm not associated with the thought. I'm just watching it. I'm just watching it as it goes by. And I'm not judging it. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm not trying to keep it there either. I'm just letting it do as it does. And what you'll notice is when you do that, that thought will leave and another one will come up, usually. And then what do you do with this next thought? You let it go. You allow it to flow. You allow it to do whatever it is. And this may be hard at first. You will notice in the beginning that you were trying to get rid of certain thoughts that are maybe painful, that are surfacing. Maybe they bring up memories you don't want to think about. Maybe they bring up things that just aren't something you want to be thinking about. But just stay in the room. Stick with it. Don't fight it. If you don't resist, they will leave. Right? If you do resist, they will stay. And don't like force yourself to leave it as if like, I'm going to leave it because I'm expecting it. I'm going to leave it alone because I'm expecting it to leave. Just sit there and observe. Just watch it. Let your mind do its thing. Don't try and get rid of anything. So, even if you get excited, you get sad, you get fearful, stick with it. Don't try and resist anything. Completely allow everything that's coming through to come through. And what the cool thing about this is eventually there'll be some really cool ideas that start coming through. And I've noticed this too, like some of the videos I've made that have been probably some of my better videos, the ideas have come to me while I've been doing this. Like I'll have all these thoughts and I'll just let them flow and this idea will come in. And then I'll go on a tangent and I'm just letting it do its thing. I'm letting it unravel. I'm not controlling it. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm not even trying to have it stay. I'm just letting it play out. And then after my meditation, if I had like a good idea come to me, I'll write it down. So, yeah, I did spend a bit of a time explaining that. So I hope that makes sense. And I would just say, try it. Just try it out. I know this is going way off topic from soccer and this is getting really into more spiritual stuff, meditation. But give it a go. I've been doing this every day for an hour or more. Each session, you want to do this for at least an hour. I know that sounds like a long time, but trust me, what is an hour when it comes to direct and noticeable change in your life is going to be amazing, okay? So just give it a go. And the thing is, don't try anything. Like, there's no proper way to do it. You just sit there and just do nothing. You let things happen. Like if you have a question like, well, what do I do? That's the wrong question. There's no right way. If you wake up from the meditation and you feel like crap and you think it's not working, that's not true. It probably is working. You see, one thing that Kyle said that I thought was really cool, he said, is you don't get the benefits while you're meditating, you get them later. Because if you're feeling pain or you're feeling fear or you're not feeling so great when you come out of the meditation, that means it's working. That means you're releasing those things. And for you to release those things, you're going to feel them first. They don't just disappear without you actually feeling it. So just recognize that and stick with it, because it's just, it's one of those things you have to experience. But I just want to at least give you the idea of it so that you can potentially use this to your benefit. So again, I will put the video of Kyle going over it down in the comments, or not in the comments, sorry, in the description. I'll label it as Kyle Cease Explains Meditation or something. And take a look at that video too, because he'll explain it as well. And just try it. You know, you're under no obligation to do anything. You don't have to try it if you don't want to. But if you find that you've been lacking in confidence, you find that you're struggling emotionally, I don't know what it is. Again, this can be related to soccer too. If you're having confidence issues on the field, if you're getting too angry or emotional on the field, I don't know what it is, but I would say just give this a go. It's the most important and sacred practice I do every day. Right now, I prioritize this over almost everything else. I do it pretty much when I wake up. The first thing I do is pretty much this now, before I do any more of my morning routine. And there have been days where I've missed my morning routine and I've done just this, and those days have been exponentially better than the days when I've done a full morning routine. And again, this is something I've recently discovered, and I'm getting to a point where I'm doing this and the morning routine, which will probably just make it even better. But just give it a shot, okay? So we're way over, so I'm going to stop it there. I hope that makes sense. I hope I explained that well. I don't know why I'm questioning it, but I know my voice sounds very weak right now, and so I'm in a state of almost judging myself right now, which isn't good. But anyway, I'm going to link everything you need down in the description. I am going to put everything you need down there. I might even put one of the videos in the comments. And let me know, guys, if you're going to do this. I'm going to try out the visualization and meditation techniques. I'm really curious, because I don't want you guys just listening to this stuff and then, like nodding your head and going, yeah, that would be good, and then not doing it. I want you guys to try it out, because there's a huge difference in hearing about something and being like, yeah, that sounds good, or even not. But hearing something and it resonating with you and then forgetting about it, and actually hearing something, it resonating with you and actually experiencing it. Hearing something and experiencing something are two completely different things. It's like when I tell you, you can have as much knowledge as you want, or as much knowledge as possible, but if you're not putting that knowledge into action, you won't get any results. Same here. You need to experience this to understand it completely, or to understand it more. So that'll be it for today, guys. Thank you. My voice is completely broken. I'll need to go get it fixed, or just relax and lie down or something, or meditate. There you go. So take a look in the comments, or not the comments, the description for all those videos. And we'll do a hashtag. Let's do hashtag weak voice, because my voice is about to fail. And if you actually put that hashtag in there, I know you've definitely watched all the way or listened all the way, because, what a random hashtag. So hashtag weak voice. Make sure it's all one word. I'll know either way. It just looks cooler when it actually is in the blue lettering. All right. So thanks, guys, for listening. I'll make sure my voice is a lot stronger, and I don't do this directly before a podcast and then after or directly before a live stream and after a live stream, so I can give my full voice to this. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Put that hashtag in there. Check out the description for those videos, and I hope that you start trying some of these methods and see if they work for you. All right, guys. Thanks again. Talk to you later.